The Peekskill NAACP celebrates the 113th NAACP Founders Day 2022 with local Black businesses. On February 12, 1909, the nation's largest and most widely recognized civil rights organization was born, our founders. In 1908, a deadly race riot rocked the city of Springfield. Eruptions of anti-Black violence, particularly lynching, were horrifically commonplace. But the Springfield riot was the final tipping point that led to the creation of the NAACP. Appalled at this rampant violence, a group of white liberals that included Mary White Ovington and Oswald Garrison Villard, both the descendants of famous abolitionists, William English Walling, and Dr. Henry Moskowitz, issued a call for a meeting to discuss racial justice. Some 60 people, 7 of whom were African American, including W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida B. Wells Barnett, and Mary Church Terrell, signed the call, which was released on the centennial of Lincoln's birth.
The Peekskill chapter of the NAACP was the first branch of the national organization to be established in Westchester County in 1937. Joseph Barnes was the first chapter president, and Kathleen Moshier became its secretary at only 17 years of age. Melvin S. Stapley was a guiding influence in the formation of the Peekskill chapter and was active as its president from 1952 to 1968. Organized at the AME Zion Church, Mrs. Indus Green, Peekskillian woman who restored Harriet Tubman's home in Auburn, New York, was the vice president of the Peekskill NAACP in the 1950s. The Peekskill NAACP Youth Council, under the leadership of Offie Wortham and Henry Tolliver from 1953 to 1957, became the largest in the United States with over 400 members, most of whom were white. Byron Peterson, as president of the adult branch, embraced the public demands for assertive civil rights activities in Peekskill during the 1960s. Anna Mae Dickerson served as president in the 1960s. Mrs. Cleopatra Jones was one of the first advisors to the NAACP Youth Council and later became the adult branch organization president for several years in the 1970s and 80s. Ms. Maud Bell and Peter Marshall were presidents through the 1980s. Marvin Church served as president in the early 1990s. Mrs. Vera McCorvey was president from 1988 to 1996. Robert Spencer, president of the Peekskill chapter NAACP from 1996 until 2001. Martin McDonald spearheaded the reactivation of the branch in 2015. And, since 2018, the president is Valerie Eaton, who is also the former vice president and PR and communication chair with Mr. McDonald.
In 2021, the Peekskill NAACP revealed their Black Business Directory on their website for Black History Month. It is a compilation of Black-owned businesses found in the area of Peekskill. This year, we decided to expand the health and wellness theme of Black History Month to the health and wellness of our economics in celebration of the NAACP's 113th Founders Day. This year, we present some of the businesses in our area and examine some recipes for owning a business as a person of color in 2022. To get a sample recipe of how to own a Black-owned business in 2022, we asked these 3 questions of some small business owners here in Peekskill. Number 1, where or from whom did you get the idea to have your own business, and at what point in your life? 2, how would you describe the impact you have had on your family that you have a Black-owned business? And 3, do you think it's still important to be considered a Black-owned business, and why?
And he was a carpenter by trade. He did electrical work and he did plumbing work, and he was licensed in a few of those fields. And he was phenomenal because he had others working for him. He was a fair man. But I also got the idea that I wanted to have my own business by watching an African man from Nigeria by the name of Nyabingi. And he had a place called Nyabingi's African Gift Shop, whom I met when I was 14. Nyabingi was a totally awesome man. His shop was filled with all kind of African art. He had incense, he had oils, and he was generous in the way that he explained and told me what everything meant and the villages that it came from, and it was beautiful to me. So, you know, aside from him, my father also was a merchant seaman, so he traveled around the world, and he told us about Africa, and he told us about our culture, and he told us about our blackness. But aside from that, it just filled me with the energy and the dream and the vision to open up my own business. They were thrilled. They were thrilled. My father was so proud of me. My father would come in here and sit down and tell me, all right, Fern, okay, variety, so you got to get a lot of different things. And said, I'll be in here playing some other kind of music, you know, mostly jazz. But my father said, no. You gotta play some African music. So I started getting African music from all over the diaspora. And it just changed the energy. I would light the incense and I would feel ancestors echoing all over the place. The energy was beautiful. And people, the smoke from the incense would bellow out the door. And it would just bring people in. It just a beautiful, and my sisters and my brothers and even my mother, you know, and you want to make your parents proud. So everybody was so into it, and they were so supportive. My mother would even go with me if I didn't have anybody to sit in the car when I go into warehouses, because you know parking in New York City is really expensive. So my mother said, don't worry, you go on in there. I'll be right here. If I have to go around the block, I'm going on around the block. So it was just, it was support. They backed me, you know, and I just, and the community too. I wouldn't be here without this community. I wouldn't be here without this community. And it's a wonderful thing. Someone who had a dream and lived the dream and brought it to fruition. So many of our African American children don't see enough of us owning our own and building our own. And I need to be here for many. I've been here almost 30 years, 20 years. And so I see some youngsters coming back to me and saying, Sister Fern, I started my own incense business. Sister Fern, I'm doing my own hemp waters, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And so it's so important for us to be a powerful and a good example, not only as a human being, but as an entrepreneur, as one who brings dreams to fruition, and also as someone who can teach. Because you see, I've been given this, so I have to now give back. And when they come and ask questions, I give them answers, and I give them the correct answers. And I make them do the work and say, well, okay, what is it that you want to do? How do you want to do it? Let me show you, and let me help you. And that's very important in our community. It's important everywhere. You know, each one teach one. And that's the importance of it. Why? Because we need it and it's not enough. And we have always been told that we couldn't, shouldn't, and wouldn't. And we have been blocked systematically by society because of the color of our skin, unfortunately, you know. But we have to step up, stand up, and do more. And that's what I do. I do it as much as I can. I don't care who come in here and what they say. I am for my people. Trust and believe me on that one.
Greetings. This is Kevin Cousins, COO of Aerobisol Incorporated. I am interviewing my lovely wife, Keisha Palmer Cousins, CEO of Aerobisol Incorporated. How are you today?
I am doing well.
Where or from whom do you get the idea to have your own business, and at what point in your life?
Thank you, Kevin. My name is Keisha Palmer Cousins, and I am the proud CEO and co-owner of Aerobisol Incorporated, a company that was co-founded by my husband and myself back in 1999 when we were actually dating. And the concept of the company came about from a good friend of ours named Shelly Anderson Tazzy. She was a breast cancer survivor, and she had the vision of having exercise classes for full-figured people and the disabled. And so, me being a full-figured woman, I enrolled in her class. And a lot of times she would be late for the class because she was going through chemo treatments and trying to juggle working a 9-to-5 job and trying to have a business on the side. So as a good friend, I would fill in for her for the classes and teach the classes. Thus, I had to create a legal entity to protect myself and my personal assets, and thus Aerobisol Incorporated was born. As Kevin mentioned, he and I co-founded the business back in 1999, and the purpose was to have a wellness business for those people who were full-figured and or disabled, to target markets that people were totally ignoring back in the 90s. But it then morphed into a wellness business for individuals. And how I really wanted to become a business owner from, I guess, a little girl was that I saw my parents be home-based business owners out of our home. My father ran a moving business out of our home on the weekends, and he had 2 locations, our home in Mount Vernon, and then my grandmother's house apartment in Manhattan. And he used to have these pink cars, palm cars, we would call them today. And it would have his name of the business, Palmer, moving business. And, with bright pink saying no job is too big or too small. On the weekends, he would just really move people with his his pickup truck. My mother, Obie Palmer at the time, she, when I was younger, she also had a home-based business out of our home. She was actually displaced from her job. She was a nurse's aide, and my 3 brothers and myself, it was very difficult to try to find a caretaker to take care of all 4 of us while she was away working. So what would happen is, again, my parents, depended on relatives to come by the house to babysit us while she went to work. And of course, life gets in the way. People would be late. So before she got fired, she just quit her job. And then she said, what can I do? She says, you know what? I can watch kids. So she became certified and opened up a daycare center out of our home. So every morning we would wake up, we would see like about up to 10 kids in our house. And so she never really thought of herself as an entrepreneur, but she really was. Because she had to, she filled a need in the neighborhood for kids who needed to be watched while their parents went to work. And so she was one of my inspirations, actually.
Okay.
And so growing up, I saw my mom, operate her daycare center out of her house. And, I saw my father do his pickup business. And so that's where the inspiration came. That I could be my own business owner one day. And thinking back now, a lot of kids in the neighborhood thought of me as like the professor, the walking encyclopedia, the advice person, like Lucy from the Peanuts. And so I would be giving out advice and helping out, kids in the neighborhood with different things. And so now I just, I guess that's where my true inspirations came from the kids in my neighborhood, my parents, and also my uncles who ran their own construction business. They were bricklayers, and one of my uncles asked his, boss for a raise, and his boss said to him, "No, Henry, I can't give you a quarter raise you're asking for, like your white co-workers, because you're black." So my uncle proceeded to just leave that job, took one of my grand uncles with him and one of his cousins, and they went to all his boss's competitors and got a couple jobs that way. Thus, it's been like over like 50 something years they've had the family business, construction business in South Carolina. So entrepreneurship was all around me, I have to say. So my inspiration came from my mom, my dad, my uncles, and the neighborhood kids who allowed me to be my first clients back in the day.
Great. The second question, how would you describe the impacts you've had on your family because you are and you have a black-owned business?
The impact is immense. Oh my goodness, I cannot begin to tell you the pride that that they feel and I feel knowing that I co-own, a black-owned business, especially with my husband, because now it's a family-owned business. Because again, my husband was my boyfriend at the time before we started the business, but now we're married over 21 beautiful years. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the impact it has made is to have my children, Kendall and Kyle Cousins. Kyle is now 17 years old and Kendall is 19 years old. And we had the business, before they were born. So they saw us constantly helping, our clients. Again, it morphed from a wellness business for individuals to a wellness business for businesses, because most of our clientele were really like small business owners who were very stressed out. And so I became like this person that was like maybe like a Iyanla Vanzant helping them with their wellness issues personally, to like Olivia Pope helping them with their wellness business problems that they have with their businesses. And so the impact that has made on my family is like they've seen me go out there, get clients, make money on my own, fill a need, and it has inspired them to actually try to do their own businesses as well. So just seeing the flexibility, the financial returns of the business, and getting involved in the community, and they see that the clients that I have, I really do care about, because minority and women-owned businesses, they are so much different than other businesses because they really care. They have heart and soul. They want to give back to the community. They want to help each other. But a lot of times there's so many things like racism and sexism and other things that get in the way from them actually having access and to opportunity and capital to grow their businesses, unlike non-minority businesses. And those things are really real that people do not like to talk about. But a lot of those things have come out during COVID. So again, we feel very proudful. We've inspired other family owners to, family members to start their own businesses, because basically, being an entrepreneur is something that everyone can do if they put the time and energy into it. You don't necessarily have to have a college degree to own a business, but you have to put in hard work, it's sacrifice, and just fulfilling a need and just learning how to market yourself.
All right, the last question is, do you think it's still important to be considered a black-owned business, and why?
Yes, of course. I really do believe that it is important to be known as a black-owned business. First of all, any black-owned business wants to be known as a business, period. They want to have the same rights, equity, as everyone else does. And so to be known as a black-owned business is like a label that you should carry with pride, because there's so many other businesses that other cultures have, and they're not ashamed to say that they are whatever that culture they come from or race that they come from. that identifies them as their business. So I proudly say, yes, I am a Black, small, minority, woman-owned business. I wear that label with pride because that's who I am. I am an African American woman. So a lot of who I am, I bring to the business, and it helps me to relate to other African American businesses or other minority businesses. So again, I feel that it's good to have that label. Also, it's good because then, as a minority woman-owned business, I qualify for a lot of set-asides that are out there that the primes and different corporations or government agencies have set aside to equal the playing field for Black-owned businesses like myself.
Thank you so much, Keisha Palmer Cousins. Wonderful interview. Have a great day. Thank you, NAACP.
Keisha Palmer Cousins, CEO of Aerobisol Incorporated. Check out our website. Book an appointment with us today at www.aerobisol.com or call us at 914-737-7237. We provide business managed consulting, project management consulting, and training.
Quasia King Thomas, and I am joined here with Walter King, Joan King, Walter King Jr., Waikima King Walker, and Rose King. And collectively, we are the owners of Little Kings and Queens Learning Center, Little Kings and Queens Fun Place, and NY Console Kings. So I'd like to direct my question to Joan King, who is the founder and CEO of all of the operations. Mom, how did you get the idea to start this business, and where did it come from?
I decided to start this business over 30 years ago. I got the idea of owning my own business from my father-in-law. When I met my father-in-law in 1974, he was a Black business in Ossining that I knew about. But as well as that, I decided to start the child care business when I lost child care myself. In 1993, my 3-year-old didn't have child care. She wasn't happy with the child care. So at that time, I decided and spoke to my husband that I need to start my own business. So I was sitting at my desk one day at a job, a dead-end job, I would say, and I saw an ad that says, start your own daycare. And then I just went from there.
That was really inspiring, Mom. Knowing that, you got the idea from Pop, I mean, that's just amazing how literally you can pass things down in your family. So, Dad, my next question is to you. Knowing that Mommy got the idea to start this legacy from your own father, Walter King Sr., tell me the impact that you feel that these businesses have had on not only our family, but yourself.
The impact, I would say, is that we're our own business person. We make our own decisions. We're our own leaders. And that's very important today. You can get a job and you can work hard at that job, but nobody's going to work as hard if it's your own business and you doing what you need to do to make that successful. Getting up 4 o'clock in the morning and getting home 9 o'clock at night. But putting all that together, it's definitely well worth it. I must say, with my father being the businessman that he was, and rubbed off on me and my wife and my children, and that's how we're successful today.
Thank you for that, Dad. That was very inspiring to hear. And knowing, that there are 3 generations of Walter Kings, I want to direct the next question to Walter King III. So, Walter, how does it feel being a Black business owner and knowing that this legacy was passed down from generations in your family?
I would say it feels good. I have to carry a chip on my shoulder, and my biggest goal is just to show younger Black males that you don't have to play sports or be some type of entertainer. There's so many other routes you can go, especially being an entrepreneur. And the business I have, I'm probably one of the only young Black males doing it, so definitely feels good.
So now my question is to the family, and whoever wants to take this one, feel free. As a Black business owner, what is it still important today to be a Black business owner, or do you feel that that matters? And where does your support come from?
I would say that we've came a long way. If you look at the history of Black themselves, with Martin Luther King, with us having our first Black president, our first Black vice president, female. There's a lot we got to be proud of, but we still have a long way to go in this divided society that we live in.
And just to piggyback off of that, I would say while I am so grateful that my mother was able to be an entrepreneur at a time where you didn't see many Black women starting and having their own businesses. And now here we are 30 years later, and we are still thriving, and we are all opening our own businesses. I still think it's important to note that we have a long way to go as a community of people. And sometimes our support doesn't necessarily have to look like us for your business to be successful. So for anyone out there that's interested in having a business or has a dream to have a business, know that your support may not come from people that look like you. Your support may come from someone that's white, that's orange, that's green. It may not necessarily be a Black person, but still be inspired, still be motivated to start your own business. There's a community of people out there that will help you, and definitely always reach out to anyone, especially the King family. We are definitely here to motivate, inspire, and to help anyone that's interested in becoming an entrepreneur. So while we've been in business for 30 years, as mentioned, everything is definitely not a walk in the park or roses. So I want to take a minute to bring Waikima to the floor and just talk about some of the sacrifices and the commitments that have to be made when going into owning your own business.
Well, it seems like everyone thinks that owning your own business is just a walk in the park, which I can say it's not. Since I was 16 years old, I got out of school and I went to this business to work. After I finished college, I came back home to sacrifice for this family business. And I get up at 5 in the morning every morning to be here by 6 to make sure that I'm here and I'm present and I know what's going on in this business. My 3 children get up 4, 5 in the morning to get here at that time. And it's a lot of sacrifices that people don't understand that you have to make when you're running your own business in order for it to be successful. You get in what you put out.
Waikima, that was so inspiring. I mean, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning with 3 young children, no one knows what goes into that. And to be able to be here every single day, like you said, to keep the business running. And you've been doing this since you were 16 years old and went to college and got a degree. So I just want to talk a little bit more about that commitment. Rosie, being 19 years old, enrolled in college full-time to get your bachelor's degree right now. Tell us a little bit about your sacrifices and the commitment that you're making to be involved in the family business.
I work 7 days a week, and being 19 and seeing your friends go out every weekend and going on trips, it's kind of hard, but I see the benefits of it in the long run.
So the common word I think that you've all heard here today is commitment. Commitment, dedication, time, and family. It's all what it takes to make a business successful. We invite you to come check us out at Little Kings and Queens Learning Center, located at 50 Dayton Lane in Peekskill. Little Kings and Queens Fun Place, located at 3006 East Main Street. And you will definitely see NY Console Kings rolling down the street near you, our mobile video game theater. Please come check us out. We would love to spend some time with you and your family. If you're interested in starting a new business, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us, as we know what it takes to build a long-lasting, successful business.
My name is Valerie Eaton. I'm an IT business analyst. I'm a mother of 3. I am the president of the Peekskill NAACP, and I'm also the owner and CEO of Matters, Inc. Matters Incorporated is an entertainment company with its primary focus on local independent Black and brown artists. My father was killed at the age of 34. My mother was a beautiful, strong Black woman who believed in hard work, and she instilled that in me. And so I continue to work hard. My mother always said, "You can do it." And just that notion of you can do it, I just never shied away from anything. I was challenged several years ago to write a book, and so I did. And so if you see here, reality check, does race define the relationship? And I consider myself to be creative, and so that's what I did. Fast forward, I managed my daughter, Bria the artist. Going out during her performances, I was often asked, "Oh, I wish I had a manager like you. I wish you could manage me." And I'm like, I don't have that kind of time because, I'm working my 9 to 5 and on the side, I'm managing my daughter. Well, after getting many inquisitions about that, after doing all the media postings and presentations for the Peekskill NAACP, I said, why not do this as my own business? Why not present to the world what it is that I do? That's why I started my own business. My mom is so proud of me, and it's so apparent, and she tells me, and my children they're just entrepreneurs in their own right. I just noticed that the pride that they have in me is it's something that brought a whole different perspective to me. We've been told all of our lives, get a good job, work hard, climb up that corporate ladder. And I've done that. And it's no slight to my parents or my parents' parents. I think at some point, we as Black and brown people have to consider an alternative, and it's not for everyone, but there are so many of us who have all these gifts and talents beyond going to work every day and beyond making money for someone else. And we have to break that generational frame of mind. We are such a rich people. We are such a dynamic group of people. And it's very important that we pass on generational wealth, not just in dollars and cents, but in a frame of mind, in a way of thinking. And I'm so proud of my children who they think out the box. They don't just say, "Oh, I just wish I had that great job to make 6 figures." They think, I'm going to work with stocks, or I'm going to, have some pop-up businesses, or I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to travel the world. The generational wealth that is passed down, they have to include a frame of mind. They have to include a different way of thinking. And so when I thought of connecting Black-owned businesses, celebrating the NAACP's 113th Founders Day, I thought, what was the vision of the founders? Their initial thought was, let's make sure that there is equality and that we don't have our Black and brown brothers lynched. But if you think beyond that, do you think that there was a vision? I would hope so. And I think the vision, even as we think fast forward to the civil rights movement, I think part of the thinking was, that dream should be more than us being treated equal, but that we treat ourselves as equal. We have to decide that we are better than what someone else has told us. And so the basics of equality, yes, we want that. But let's think ahead. Let's have a vision that will catapult us into a new way of life, a way of life that would have it be the norm for there to be Black-owned businesses. To the point where we don't have to be considered a Black-owned business. We are a business. And so it's important right now to be considered a Black-owned business because there needs to be some visibility into what we can do. There needs to be visibility to our youth who may be in a culture where they're being told you can't, to tuck their talents and gifts away because no one wants to see that. So I look forward to the day when we're not just a Black business, but we are a business and we are equal to any other business in society. It is important to celebrate Founders Day. It is important to celebrate Black History Month. It is also equally important to celebrate us in totality. We are Black history. We are the Peekskill NAACP. Join us today.
Matters Incorporated, making all time together entertaining regardless of situations. Who are we? We are creative minds that want to allow you to be creative. We are entertainers who want you to be free to entertain. We are a safe space that wants you to feel safe. We are independent and we want you to have the freedom of independence. So, what do we offer? Well, Matters has a ton of great services, including music production services, lead and backing vocals, songwriting, singing engagements, performances and performers, expert presentations, video shorts, even speaking engagements. And with so much more coming soon to Matters, be sure to follow us across all social media platforms so you don't miss a beat.
Hi, I'm Valerie Eaton. I am an IT business analyst. I am the president of the Peekskill NAACP. I'm a mother of 3, and I'm also the owner and CEO of Matters, Inc. Come visit us. I'd love to talk to you about how you can book us today.
Head over to mattersentertainment.com for a full view of what we have to offer, plus more on what's to come. Create a login today and keep track of your account, bookings, and more. Contact us now by phone or by email. Matters. Ready to book?